The 10 biggest military off-road tractors you didn't even know existed. Welcome back to Tractor World, the journey where we uncover the machines that change how power moves across the earth. Today's episode isn't just another countdown of horsepower and steel. Somewhere in this list, one tractor hides a secret that even seasoned engineers have overlooked. A design so advanced, it challenges what we think a tractor can be. From the frozen test grounds of Russia to the dust convoys of the American Midwest, these giants carried more than cargo. They had the evolution of power itself. But the machine ranked number one. That's where everything you thought you knew about tractors will start to shift. Miss that, and you might mistake size for strength and value price. If this is your first time joining Tractor World, hit like and subscribe to follow this journey through the hidden history of engineering. Because by the end of this episode, you'll realize the greatest tractor ever built was never meant for the field. Ranked 10th, KAMAZ 7850, Platform O, the silent colossus built to move missiles, not men. It doesn't look like a tank. It doesn't sound like one either. But the KAMAZ 7850, known internally as Platform O, was designed to move the very same payloads that tanks protect: intercontinental ballistic missiles. Conceived after 2010, when Russia's Ministry of Defense ordered an end to reliance on Belarusian MAZ heavy haulers, the 7850 was not built as a truck, but as a modular weapons platform. KAMAZ engineers, under the guidance of Rostec and Bauman Technical University, created a self-contained system capable of carrying up to 120 tons across tundra and ice. Beneath its angular shell sits a 1,400 horsepower Phi-12 diesel engine paired with a 16-speed automatic transmission. Each of the 8 wheels is powered independently through electronic torque split modules adapted from mining haulers. The chassis can reconfigure itself in real time. If one axle fails, the others redistribute power in milliseconds. Its independent suspension keeps the deck perfectly level, even when one side drops half a meter into mud or snow. Inside the armored cabin, 2 operators monitor hydraulic pressure, wheel deformation, and magnetic drift from a fully sealed digital console. There are no analog gauges, only encrypted screens and redundant control systems designed for survival in electromagnetic warfare zones. Less than 10 units were built, all within a classified production run between 2016 and 2019. Each one cost an estimated $2 to $3 million, none offered for export, and none publicly commissioned. On paper, it replaced the aging MAZ launch carriers. In practice, it became a ghost. Too heavy for civilian use, too advanced for mass deployment. The 7,850 stands as a bridge between 2 engineering eras: the brute force mechanics of the Cold War and the digital precision of the 21st century. Today, it rests mostly unseen, locked in the storage hangars of Kapustin Yar testing grounds. The engines are silent, the tires still hold pressure, but no official record confirms an active unit. There is no emblem, no export model, no public demonstration, only a chassis code stamped into armored steel. From a prototype that vanished into secrecy, the story shifts to a machine everyone has seen, whether they realized it or not: the American workhorse that moves entire armies. Ranked 9th, Oshkosh M1070HET, the backbone that carries the battlefield. They call it the Heavy Equipment Transporter, but soldiers call it the HET. In every convoy, it's the quiet giant behind the noise. While tanks fire and helicopters circle, the M1070 moves, carrying 60 tons of armor as if it were freight. Born in 1992, it came from a simple demand. The Abrams tank had outgrown its trailers. The Army needed a new backbone, and Oshkosh Defense delivered it in steel, torque, and diesel. The heart of the M1070 is a Caterpillar C18 turbocharged diesel generating 700 horsepower and nearly 3,000 Newton-meters of torque. It pairs with an Allison 7-speed automatic gearbox and an air ride suspension that adjusts itself with every terrain change. Even fully loaded, it climbs grades at 45 degrees. It reaches speeds above 50 miles per hour, a number that would have been unthinkable for any hauler a generation earlier. Its frame is an 8x8 lattice of armor and hydraulics. Each wheel houses its own reduction hub. Each tire can self-inflate or seal after puncture. In combat zones, the HET doesn't just tow, it rescues. When tanks break down or run dry, the M1070 pulls them back under fire. Its dual winch system, rated for 70 tons of vertical load. During the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, it became the unseen rhythm of the battlefield, bringing machines home when nothing else could. Inside, the cabin is sealed and air-conditioned, with ballistic glass and a central digital dashboard. There's no glamour, only utility. Pressure readings, axle heat, fuel balance. Every sound is a low mechanical pulse, steady, unbroken. It's not a show of force, it's the infrastructure of war. More than 4,000 units were built. Many are still in active service today, with odometers running into hundreds of thousands of miles. And yet, the M1070 is already evolving. The next generation, the A2 hybrid, trades part of its diesel system for electric torque modules. Quieter, faster, more efficient. Power in this machine is never static. It just changes form. It hauled tanks across deserts. But it wasn't the first machine to carry a nation's weapons. Before the Americans built mobility, the Soviets built mass. And their answer came on 8 wheels of pure diesel. Ranked 8th, MAZ 7310, the steel carrier that moved a superpower. In 1974, inside the industrial blocks of Minsk, engineers at MAZ built something the world had never seen before. An 8-wheel tractor that could carry a missile across a continent. Designated 7310, it was less a truck and more a mobile foundation. A steel skeleton supporting the Soviet Union's expanding missile fleet. A 38-liter V12 diesel engine sat at its center, pushing just over 500 horsepower through planetary gearboxes and twin transfer cases. Every axle was driven, every tire pressurized from the cab through an onboard inflation system. Technology that Western haulers would not adopt for another decade. The 7310 didn't race, it endured. At full weight, it rolled at 40 kilometers per hour, unstoppable across mud, sand, and snow. For years, these machines carried Scud-B launchers, each missile capable of traveling 300 kilometers. They crossed deserts in Iraq, jungles in Vietnam, and frozen rivers in Eastern Europe. Wherever Soviet doctrine required mobility, the 7310 followed. Crews called it simply the carrier, a machine that didn't fight but made fighting possible. Unlike modern tractors, there was no digital display, no electronic control. Gauges were analog, levers mechanical, and maintenance could be done with a hammer and grease gun. Simplicity was its armor. Even when electronics failed in combat zones, the 7310 kept moving. That reliability made it the backbone of Soviet logistics until the 1990s, when newer systems replaced it, but none have truly erased its footprint. Today, a few units remain in service, hauling oil rigs or parading through veterans' exhibits. Others sit in museums, their olive paint fading, their tires still intact. The blueprints are archived, the factories long retooled. Only the number 7310 survives in steel stamps on the last remaining chassis. From the archives of Minsk, we move to a new generation born not of ideology, but of engineering precision. The German HX81, where every axle bears the signature of modern NATO design. Ranked 7th, MAN HX81, precision under command. The MAN HX81 does not roar, it calibrates. Every movement is measured, every component arranged for balance. Built in Germany's post-industrial decade, it is less a truck and more a logistics instrument, the point where mechanical strength meets mathematical precision. At its core lies a 15-liter MAN D3876 engine, 680 horsepower of controlled pressure. It feeds a ZF Tipmatic transmission that calculates shifts in milliseconds, syncing with independent pneumatic suspension to keep the chassis perfectly level. Even under a 130-ton load, a tank, a trailer, a generator, the HX81 glides with surgical steadiness. Its frame is pure geometry. Straight lines, zero excess. The cab is armored yet ergonomic. Every button is mapped to a function tested by soldiers in the field. In Convoy, it's digital diagnostics linked through NATO's command network, transmitting fuel data, tire temperature, and torque analytics in real time. Power here isn't raw, it's disciplined. When deployed, the HX-81 transforms military transport from brute hauling into coordinated movement. In Poland, it tows Leopard 2 tanks across forest highways. In Norway, it climbs snow-packed ascents with the precision of a metronome. Engineers designed it not for spectacle, but for repeatability, the ability to perform identically every time, under command. Inside the cockpit, the sound is not loud, it's rhythmic. The transmission clicks through its range like a stopwatch. The driver sits surrounded by sensors and steel, aware that every movement contributes to a larger equation: speed, safety, synchronization. Germany mastered precision, but a few hundred kilometers east, another country engineered chaos into strength. A truck so unorthodox it could swim through rivers and climb without traction. Ranked 6th, Tatra T815-7, force power that bends to the earth. The Tatra T815-7 does not conquer terrain. It negotiates with it. Every wheel moves on its own axis. Every axle swings independently, and the backbone chassis flexes like a living structure. In the Czech Republic, engineers at Kopřivnice spent decades refining one idea: that stability comes not from resisting motion, but from distributing it. Beneath the armored cab sits a V8 diesel engine, producing 816 horsepower, channeled through a 12-speed semi-automatic gearbox. But the true heart of the machine is its frame, a single central tube running the length of the vehicle, enclosing the drive shaft like a vein. This design lets the vehicle twist across uneven ground without stressing the cargo above. While most heavy tractors lose traction on three-wheel contact, the Tatra keeps 8 in motion. During NATO tests, it climbs slopes steeper than 45 degrees and forded rivers deeper than its headlights. Crews learned quickly that steering the T815-7 was not about power input, but rhythm. Feel the terrain, match its pulse. Let the suspension dance. In desert heat or mountain frost, its mechanical articulation turned obstacles into patterns of movement. Inside, the control layout is stripped of aesthetics. 2 levers, a set of gauges, and a digital torque monitor. The sound inside is a harmonic vibration, low, continuous, and strangely calm. There's no sense of struggle, only precision under chaos. It became the favorite of units needing both speed and survivability. Bridge layers, mobile radar crews, even rally teams borrowed the design. Tatra called it force, but its genius lies in flexibility. Power that bends instead of breaking. If the Czech engineers mastered movement, the next machine mastered scale. Twice the weight, twice the reach. Built not for terrain, but for carrying the most dangerous cargo ever made. Ranked 5th, MZKT-79221, the 16-wheel giant that carried the Cold War into the 21st century. There is no machine like it on Earth. The MZKT-79221 is a 16 by 16 wheeled platform, 22 meters long, designed to move a missile capable of crossing continents. Built in Minsk in the mid-1990s, it inherited both the precision of Soviet engineering and the secrecy of post-Cold War defense design. Its mission was singular: carry a weapon that must always be mobile, never predictable. At the heart of the 79,221 lies a 38-liter V12 diesel engine producing 800 horsepower. Power is distributed to 16 driven wheels via a central hydraulic control system that can adjust pressure on each axle individually. On the move, the suspension reads the terrain in real time, compensating for soil density, slope, and vibration. For a vehicle exceeding 200 tons when loaded, stability isn't optional. It's survival. The cabin, small and sealed, is shielded against electromagnetic pulses. 2 operators manage all movement through redundant analog-digital controls. The interior is silent except for the constant hum of hydraulic pumps, the heartbeat of a machine built to carry an entire nation's deterrent. On open ground, it advances at 40 kilometers per hour, leaving tracks wider than a man is tall. Roads deform under their weight. Bridges must be reinforced. Yet in satellite images, it's almost invisible, often hidden beneath camouflage nets or forest canopies. To most civilians, it doesn't exist. Every motion of the 79221 is deliberate. It does not accelerate. It proceeds. It does not turn. It shifts its geometry. The entire frame bends subtly, like a living organism adjusting to gravity. Watching it move feels unnatural, a fortress in motion. There are no exports, no prototypes in museums, no civilian conversions, only serial numbers, factory records, and a handful of photographs taken during parades in Red Square. For decades, it has been the foundation of mobile nuclear strategy, a reminder that engineering, when pushed to extremes, becomes indistinguishable from doctrine. If the MZKT defined mobility for missiles, the next tractor returned that power to the soil. A machine that once worked the fields of Russia, then marched to war. Ranked fourth, Kirovet's K-700 military spec, the farmer that went to war. In the late 1960s, when the Soviet Union sought a tractor capable of feeding the entire country, engineers at the Kirov plant designed the K-700M, a 12-ton articulated machine capable of pulling plows wider than a train car. Its power came from a 15-liter V8 diesel, the same block used in military trucks. It was meant for harvest, not for war. But history often repurposes its own creations. In the 1970s, as the Army faced logistical shortages, hundreds of K-700Ms were recalled from collective farms, stripped of their civilian colors, and fitted with armor plates and towing hooks. Overnight, a tractor built to till soil became a recovery vehicle for artillery and tanks. Soldiers called it the Iron Farmer. Its articulated steering, the pivot joint splitting the front and rear frames, allowed it to maneuver in mud where most vehicles bogged down. Its wide tires floated on snow and sand, distributing 12 tons across 8 contact points. It wasn't fast, but it was unstoppable. In Siberia, it hauled radar stations through permafrost. In Ukraine, it cleared airfields buried under snow. When parts failed, farmers and mechanics could repair them with spare bolts and welding torches. Unlike the military prototypes that came after it, the K-700M never hid behind secrecy. It was seen everywhere, in wheat fields, on runways, in military parades. To the Soviet eye, it symbolized more than productivity. It symbolized endurance, a machine built for sustenance, serving survival. Today, some of these tractors still run. Their paint has faded, but their engines start with the same metallic growl they had 50 years ago. The line between field and front line has long disappeared, but the machine remains. The same heart, just a different uniform. It began as a farmer and became a soldier, but the next machine was born a soldier, designed from the start to move tanks across continents. Ranked third, Faun SLT-56. Franziska, discipline on wheels. It begins with a low mechanical growl, steady, deliberate, unmistakably German. The Faun SLT-56, nicknamed Franziska, was built in West Germany at the height of the Cold War. Its purpose: move 60-ton tanks with the precision of a metronome. At the core sits an 18-liter MTUV-8 diesel generating 730 horsepower. The torque flows through a ZF automatic transmission, multiplied by a hydraulic converter that maintains constant pull even as loads change. Behind it, a 12-wheel trailer locks into position, capable of supporting an entire Leopard 2 with fuel and ammunition. Every motion of the SLT-56 is regulated: axle steering, suspension height, brake pressure, all synchronized through mechanical feedback. Long before digital sensors existed, 2 rear axles steer in the opposite direction to the front, allowing the convoy to pivot through narrow European towns without tearing up the asphalt. Its frame was built not for beauty, but for repetition. On highways through Germany, it carried tanks from one training base to another. In Kuwait, it recovered damaged armor under desert heat. Wherever it went, soldiers learned a single rule: never rush the SLT. It moves at its own tempo, 65 kilometers an hour, unwavering, unbroken. Inside the cabin, the controls are arranged with surgical order. Gauges lined in perfect symmetry. Gear lever, the size of a man's forearm, Switches labeled in both German and English. There's no excess metal, no wasted motion. Even after 40 years, most units start instantly. The maintenance crews call it Die Discipline auf Rädern, discipline on wheels. Germany perfected discipline. But across the ocean, America built efficiency, a tractor that could load, lift, and deploy supplies faster than any before it. Ranked second, M1074 PLS, the pulse that keeps armies alive. In the American military, logistics is the real battlefield. The M1074 PLS, palletized load system, was built for one purpose: to keep the front lines supplied faster than they can be depleted. At first glance, it looks like another heavy truck, but beneath its angular cab lies a hydraulic system that rewrote modern supply doctrine. It's a 600 horsepower Caterpillar diesel that feeds torque into a 10x10 drivetrain using Oshkosh's TAC4 suspension, each wheel moving independently, every shock absorber calculating pressure in milliseconds. The result, a truck that feels alive, adjusting itself to terrain before the driver even reacts. But the real revolution isn't in how it drives, it's in how it works. Mounted behind the cab is a fully integrated load handling system, a steel arm that can lift, load, or unload a 16-ton cargo container in 90 seconds. No cranes, no extra crew. The M1074 can arrive, drop supplies, and leave before enemy drones can fix its coordinates. Its modular containers range from fuel pods to ammunition racks to mobile repair stations. One chassis, endless configurations. In Afghanistan, it moved fuel convoys through mountain passes. In Iraq, it turned roadside logistics into synchronized convoys of steel. Soldiers call it the machine that doesn't sleep. Inside the cabin, the layout feels more like an aircraft cockpit than a truck. Digital panels track oil pressure, suspension load, and container balance. Every vibration is data, every second counts. The PLS doesn't just move supplies, it moves tempo. If the American PLS mastered tempo, then the final machine mastered secrecy. A vehicle so large and classified that few have ever seen it move. In first place, MZKT 79291 Volant Titan, the classified Colossus. No public footage of the MZKT 79291 exists, only fragments. Blurred images from parade rehearsals and satellite captures of test ranges near Minsk. What is known comes from documents and whispers. An 8-axle hybrid platform built to carry what even the 79,221 could not. Internally, engineers called it Volant Titan. The frame alone weighs 130 tons, molded from reinforced steel wrapped in composite ribs. The hybrid system pairs a 900 horsepower V12 diesel with electric drive modules, enabling silent movement for several kilometers. An advantage in terrain where radar reflections and heat signatures expose vehicles. Each axle acts as its own control system. Pressure sensors read soil compression. Hydraulic actuators adjust ride height in real time. When the Titan turns, it doesn't pivot, it flexes. Every motion is algorithmic, governed by a neural feedback loop connecting 16 wheels to a single central processor. For a vehicle longer than most houses, it moves with unnatural smoothness, as if gliding on magnetic rails. The cockpit holds only 2 seats and a wall of matte black screens. There are no analog gauges, no gear levers. Commands are issued through touch panels coded to biometric profiles. The system accepts 3 operators worldwide. Their names are not public. Sources suggest the Titan was tested with experimental missile canisters exceeding 23 meters in length. Others say it was a prototype for a mobile radar shield capable of masking entire battalions. MZKT has never confirmed either. From tractors that plowed the earth to machines that carried empires, power has always moved on wheels. These 10 were not built to be admired. They were built to redefine what motion itself can mean. And that concludes today's journey across the machines that redefined what power truly means. From the fields to the front lines, from diesel to electric hybrid, every tractor we've seen tonight tells one story. That strength isn't about noise or size, it's about purpose. Some were built to plow, others to carry weapons that could alter history. But all of them, in their own way, took humanity's constant pursuit of control. over land, over motion, over time itself. Thank you for watching Tractor World, where every episode digs deeper into the engines that shaped our world. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe, because in our next episode, we'll uncover machines so extreme, even farmers weren't allowed to touch them. Until then, keep your gears turning and your curiosity alive.